So, good morning to everyone. And I'm just going to keep my, a little picture that I keep right there. If I keep it right here, let's do it right here. So, before beginning my formal remarks, in the spirit of gratitude, I would like to take a brief moment to thank a few people. I would like to acknowledge Colby's president, David Green, and his wife, Carolyn, who I know is over there. I am honored and humbled to be here today with you to deliver this baccalaureate address. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the Board of Trustees Chair, Jane Powers, and all the trustees, the trustee emeriti, and members of the Board of Visitors who are on the stage with me. Of course, I would like to acknowledge Trustee Chip Smith, who I know this is a very special weekend for, and who chairs the board's honorary degree subcommittee. I thank them all for this formal invitation to speak to all of you this morning. My connection to Colby College dates back to last year. And hey, it's not the time that counts. And there are many people who had a hand in bringing me to this amazing institution. And in the interest of time, I'm not going to name all of them, but the students that were there for my address last year, thank you. Judy Brody and her beautiful family, thank you. And Richard Uchida, thank you for your continued love and support. Finally, the graduates would not be here today if it were not for the unyielding support and guidance by faculty, their parents, family, and loved ones. And for just 1 second, I would ask our graduates to take a moment and hold in your heart all the people who made today possible. And do me a favor. At some point during this crazy weekend, take a moment to express your love and gratitude for those very special people. And because I do trust you, I am going to, in the spirit of gratitude, I want us to all just applaud the faculty, family, and loved ones of this amazing graduating class. As I reflect on my life and all that's happened to Mark, my husband, who's over there, and our only child, Daniel, you know, it's impossible for me not to think about life on a deeper level. In the words of renowned paleontologist and respected geologist Pierre Deschardins, and anyone who speaks French, forgive me, we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. For many of us, we have developed a mental construct of who we think we are. Some of us define ourselves by the roles we keep: fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, professors, and yes, graduates. No matter how we define who we are, there's always a danger that the foundation we use to build our identities on top of can be weakened over time or obliterated by some personal seismic earthquake. For our graduates, these catastrophic moments may have hit you when you received a less than desirable grade. Perhaps you're still feeling the effects of not getting into the graduate school you wanted to get into, or perhaps not landing that dream job. For the more seasoned professionals in the audience, those personal hurricanes can take the form of a crumbling career, financial ruin, health complications, and other devastating moments that cause us to question all that we believe in and who we think we are. Now, I often describe my life as pre-murder, post-murder. My personal tsunami came crashing in on Sunday, July 19, 2020. My family, like everyone all over the world, we were nestled in for the summer at our North Brunswick, New Jersey home, doing the best that we could do, trying to wrap our heads around a global pandemic brought by a mysterious and deadly virus. Daniel, our 19-year-old son, was maintaining the quarantine, and he did his best to adhere to the safety precautions. It had been several months since New Jersey's governor declared a lockdown in March of 2020. And as Daniel's 20th birthday was approaching, he asked if he could invite just a few friends from Catholic University of America to come over to the house and help celebrate his birthday. After much contemplation, Mark and I convinced ourselves that with some social distancing rules in place that didn't last too long, we could keep Daniel and his friends safe. Little did I know that when it came to our family, the events which were about to unfold proved to be more deadly than COVID-19. Based on 2 FBI debriefings, Mark and I learned that on July 4th, 2020, a lawyer who had a matter in front of me boarded a train from the Northeast Corridor headed towards his ultimate destination of San Bernardino, California. We learned that on July 11th, just 2 days before Daniel's actual 20th birthday, this lawyer posed as a delivery driver, walked up to the front door of a California lawyer he was mad at, rang the doorbell, and insisted that the lawyer sign for the package. When the lawyer came to the foyer, Daniel's eventual killer shot the lawyer multiple times and even stepped into the foyer to make sure that he finished the job. Immediately thereafter, Daniel's killer left the scene and made his way back to the East Coast. On July 16, 2020, Daniel's killer checked into a local hotel, less than a mile from our home. We know through cell phone records that the killer was on our block on Friday, July 17, and he watched as Daniel's college friends arrived, one by one, ringing the doorbell to our home. The next day, Saturday, July 18, as Daniel and his friends ate a breakfast that I had prepared for them, I decided I wanted to give Daniel some space, and so I took our 2 dogs down the block to walk, to this grassy area. And as I was walking, I noticed this car that just seemed a bit out of place, and I turned to look at the driver, and the driver looked at me, and our eyes locked, and then he turned away. The next day, on Sunday, July 19, after all of Daniel's friends had left the house, Daniel was so tired, probably from all that partying he might have been doing on the weekend. And Mark and I figured, you know what, we're going to give him a pass. We weren't going to make him go to church with us that Sunday, and he was an usher at our church, so I was going to have to, perhaps make up an excuse to Father Bob. But I decided mothers do those kind of things. So we went to church, and as we got back from church, we started cleaning up. And Daniel and I, we ended up in the basement, and Daniel and I have, because I say it's present tense, but when he was in human form, we had this special relationship, You kids sometimes don't like to talk to your moms and dads, but Daniel loved telling me everything. And he was telling me about this fight that 2 of the friends were having, and one didn't come to the party, and he's all upset. And I'm assuring him that it's going to be all right. And as we're having this deep conversation, My husband comes downstairs. Now, Mark is Daniel's, he is Daniel's best friend, and he plays all sports and goes to all kinds of games with Daniel when Daniel was in his human form. But I was Daniel's confidant. And so when he came downstairs, he shot his dad a look and he said, "Dad, Mom and I are talking." And that's code for get out. And so Mark grabbed a bottle of water and ran upstairs. And Daniel was swinging one of those wiffle ball bats. And he said to me, "Keep talking to me, Mom. I love talking to you." And just as those beautiful words came out of his mouth, the doorbell rang. And if it was a Hollywood movie, the director would scream, "Cue the doorbell." And it just felt like that. It just felt unreal. And before, I looked at Danny and his face changed from calm and serene to alarmed and concerned. And he said, "Who is that?" And before I could say, "Leave it, Dad's upstairs," Daniel bolted up those stairs to meet his fate. Waiting at the door was that same man from the day before. And after a brief exchange with our son, he pulled the trigger and took the life of our only child. We learned that before coming to our house that Sunday afternoon, the killer extended his hotel for 3 more days. And when I was getting this FBI debriefing, I looked at the agent and I said, "Why would he do that?" And the agent just looked at me and just said, "Ma'am, he was going to kill you and planned to stay long enough to get the job done." Little is known about the brief exchange between Daniel and his killer, but what we know now through all of the forensics is that Daniel wasn't going to let that guy step a foot in our foyer. He fell back with his hands in a cross position. And that's indicative, the FBI says, of Daniel blocking the door. Immediately after shooting Danny point blank at his chest, my husband began trying to get at the shooter. And so the shooter started shooting Mark, one bullet right after the other. 3 bullets hit 5 different parts of Mark's body. And it's a miracle that my husband is here today and that he survived the brutal attack. That day's unsuspecting calamity hit our family out of nowhere. As I waited for word of Daniel and Mark, I was in this sterile, cold waiting room, and, there's a nurse there, and I'm pacing, and I'm losing my mind, and I said, "Is someone going to tell me if I'm planning 1 funeral or 2? Well, I got my answer. The doctors walked in, and I knew the minute I looked at their face that my baby didn't make it. Now, I'm not gonna lie. I lost the will to live that day. A light within me, it just extinguished. As Mark fought for his life in the ICU, the foundation of my world, it just kept taking hits. And the walls of my life were crashing down. The pain was too much to bear, and I eventually fainted in the women's bathroom, and I had to be admitted to the hospital. But thanks be to God, on Wednesday, after the shooting, as I laid in my hospital bed, something miraculous happened. I felt what I have described as a gentle nudge from above, and I sensed a flickering of a light inside of me that dimly turned back on. And it was at that moment that I began a spiritual journey, a quest to discover my true self. Now, let me be clear. When I speak of spirituality, I am speaking of a state of being, not a religion. This journey that I am on has forced me to rethink everything I thought I knew about life and death. All that seemed important in my pre-murder life was reduced to rubble with little utility and insignificant in the grand scheme of things. The person who stands here today is far less concerned about me and much more focused on we. The funny thing about my disaster is that it forced me to start building a new and stronger foundation. Through this transformative period, Mark and I are trying to do our small part to keep the foundation of our country intact. Protecting the judiciary and preserving our democracy has become a central purpose in our lives. In the immediate aftermath of the attack, New Jersey passed Daniel's Law, a state law that protects the personally identifiable information of judges, active and retired, along with prosecutors and law enforcement. And although it took a little bit longer to get the federal law passed, President Biden signed into law the Daniel Anderl Judicial Security and Privacy Act on December 23rd, 2022. The Anderl Act is a federal law. The Anderl Act is a federal law that protects the PII of federal judges. And as Mark and I travel the country, we are slowly seeing other states follow New Jersey's lead by enacting similar laws like Daniel's Law. The enactment of laws at the state level complement the federal legislation, and together they serve to protect judges at every level. And although much work remains to be done to ensure that all judges and their families are safe, Mark and I are committed to rebuilding our lives in a way that serves a greater good. Graduates, I believe this country is in the midst of an unprecedented storm. And if this storm continues to pick up momentum, the forecast is grim. Somewhere in the past few decades, we have lost the ability to agreeably disagree. We have become more divided than ever. And sadly, we spend more time staring at our devices as opposed to staring into each other's eyes and connecting and communicating on a deeper level. Our words matter. How we treat each other, that matters. How we react when someone doesn't agree with us, that matters. Whether we're talking about our national leaders or our neighbors, it's pretty clear that we've lost the ability to listen to one another. When it comes to dealing with people who have differing opinions, we have to be able to process those opinions from a place of compassion and non-judgment. We have to get back to a place where we can agree to disagree, while never losing respect for the person or group of people simply because they disagree with us. And when we've been hurt by a disagreement, or we feel like we've been wronged, we have to be willing to forgive. Forgiveness is the gateway to healing. Mark forgave our son's killer while he was fighting for his life in the ICU. I arrived at forgiveness a few weeks later, but thank goodness we both made a critical decision to forgive Daniel's killer. You see, forgiveness is not about changing what's happened. That's not possible. Forgiveness, though, is about you allowing what has happened to change you and to change you for the better. Ladies and gentlemen, if we are to have any hope surviving this monumental storm, we have to be willing to start seeing each other, not looking past one another. We must begin to demand more from ourselves It's up to us to decide how we want to treat each other moving forward. It's up to us to decide what standards we want to live by. In promoting healthy interaction and collegiality among all spiritual beings living a human experience on earth, it is my sincere hope that we can live by the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It starts with us. Graduates, it starts with you. And it starts right now. Each of us must decide to be impeccable with our words while continuing to advocate for our positions. We have every right to hold ourselves, our leaders, and frankly, everyone we come in contact with, to standards that include respect, civility, professionalism, and yes, dare I say love. There is far too much hate, negativity, and darkness in the world at the moment. We need to return to love. Love for all humanity, love for this planet, and love for this thing called life. Graduates, as you think about your journeys, I'm encouraging you to think about life on a deeper level. Yes, the decisions that you're going to be making in the near future, they're important. Whether to pursue a graduate career, what job to take, whether to take some time off before pursuing whatever personal or professional goals you've set your mind to. These are important decisions, no doubt. But no matter what important decision you make in life, I am going to encourage you to enjoy your lives. You have to try to stay in the present moment and fully experience that moment as it is unfolding in front of you. There are going to be setbacks, failures, and challenges in your lives. But the key to overcoming those moments in life is to put them into perspective. It is all a matter of how you choose to see and live through those challenges that will determine your happiness. Will you be bitter, resentful, or perhaps even blame others for your own setbacks? Will you be grateful, humble, and kind to yourself or others whenever something doesn't go your way? When faced with failure, will you acknowledge the mistake, learn from it, and take the hard lessons with you to the next challenge? In my humble opinion, these are perhaps the most important decisions you will ever have to make in your life. Each of you will be called upon to weather Category 5 storm-like conditions in your lives, and you will be tested undoubtedly. How will you react when the thunder rolls in? As I close my remarks this morning, I'd like to share, and actually, I am going to, before I share what happened, I want to share something that I don't think I've said out loud, at least not recently. Look, when Daniel was murdered, I felt like I had been holding my breath the entire time until the Anderl Act was passed. And it was at the time when it passed that I felt like I could finally exhale. And a peace washed over me. And so in that state, I have to say, one night in early May of 2023, at about 2 a.m. in the morning, I was awakened by a common need. You see, as a woman of a certain age, married to a man of an older certain age, inevitably one or both of us have to go to the bathroom once or twice a night. Enjoy that. You don't have to do that just yet, graduates. But that night it was Mark's turn to go to the bathroom, and as he got up, a poem came to me. Now, the pre-murder me, I am not a creative writer. So when these words started like a divine download coming into my mind, I just, in that quiet moment, I turned over and started writing in my notes section of the phone. And I wrote a poem, and it is a simple poem, but it is a meaningful poem which now guides me through all my challenges. And if you will indulge me, I'd like to read it now. When the blow comes, I am in the thick of it. When the pain is at its highest, you are what I long for. When it seems that all hope is lost, you are what I see in the distance. Then, in a quiet whisper, his voice calls out to me. Then, just as the clouds begin to part, signs point to you. Then it dawns on me that I'm never alone. Now, with the passage of time, I look back and reflect. Now it is clear that he has brought me to you. Now I have reached the after you, a broken yet stronger me. May I always remember that with his gentle guidance, peace, and loving support, there will always be an after. In this audience, I'm sure that we have varying faiths, and if you're an atheist or an agnostic, that doesn't matter, because what this poem is meant to do is to remind you all that any challenge is an opportunity for growth. As we weather these unprecedented times, I find myself unsure about a lot of things. And although certainty is a rare commodity, there are a few things that I remain sure of. I'm sure that one day the clouds will begin to part. And as the wild winds die down, we, as Americans, will come out on the other side of this terrible storm. And I am confident that you, the graduates, will help us as we emerge from this vicious storm. And although we will likely be battered and bruised, each of us will emerge with our heads held up high, knowing that we have reached the after us, broken yet stronger versions of ourselves. Since I know I've gone way over my time, and I want to apologize for that, I want to again once tell you from the bottom of my heart, I am so honored to be here with you all. And I thank Colby College for just this privilege. I congratulate all the graduates and your proud family members in attendance on this most joyous occasion. And graduates, I wish each of you the best of luck in not only accomplishing your dreams, but in finding true happiness in whatever climate you find yourself in. God bless you all, and God bless America.